my mum and granddad, they're taking me on tram and catching 2 trams to get a bus to get to training. And when my mum's had to work on a night shift, I'm having to, my grandparents taking me, so I'm away from my family, I'm away from my mates. If you've got a missus or all like that, your connections, your ties, you're all gone, and your rugby's gone wrong. So when you start overthinking what you've done wrong and what's that going to lead to, I said, I thought I'd be going around like Matt on the scarf or something, or a t-shirt like that, shaking hands, taking photos. He says, oh yeah, you're going in the wrestling room.
Well, Corey, thank you for coming, son. You're here at Shonwy Towers, sunny Shonwy Towers. We've got the lawnmower working behind us, Corey. I think we'll see it in a bit. Don't get my name in Sheffield, son.
You know. You might get him on Marketplace. That's about it.
So, Corey, we wanted you to do some player profiles, and this is our first. So let's get straight into it, mate. Tell us about your amateur career. When did you start playing rugby, and what age?
So age, started off in Sheffield. Not much like venture really. I wouldn't say there's much clubs available. There's only like one club, like a solid like every age group. So that's where I went. And 5 years old, I just went to normal primary school, knocking about with my mates at about 5. And my family's from Cumbria, so on my mum's side, they're all from like a place called Kells in Whitehaven. So it's like a rugby town up there. Everything's rugby. They live, breathe rugby. So it was always, I feel like it were always going to be there, whether I started at 5 or not. But it just happened so that my best mate at the time were playing at a team called Sheffield Hillsborough Oaks. He was just going up. His mum was taking him up because they were a running club, so his mum would go there and take him training. So we got best mates and that. So we started going around for tea and that, and playing one of them. And his mum says to mine, "Plan to take him to rugby on a Tuesday night." So mum spoke to my uncle, who's proud as punch as ever, but up in Kells. He said, yeah, get him in rugby as you do. So it started off there. So 5 years old, he took me along, trained on a 3G pitch in somewhere called Asser in Hillsborough. So just off Wednesday ground near there. So training as every week. Didn't really start playing till I was about 8 years old, and we didn't have enough players in team, which when you think of Sheffield, like you should have enough. Be able to fill about 20 teams, so it was just a boxing city and football city really. So it's hard fighting at rugby league. So we started playing at 8, so I've had to play a year up. So for about 2 to 3 years, I played a year up, and I feel like put me in good stead. We started building like a bit of a profile, started getting mates coming, different people coming. It grew like a snowball, just got bigger and bigger and bigger. Then we had enough for like both age groups, so we were getting pumped every week. Going to Mall Green, getting beat, gonna like you Dudley Hills. So it started off like that. So everyone was just playing it for fun, really, not for scoreline or all like that. And then all of a sudden got to like under 10s, and they said, "Oh, then a branch off and make our own age group." So we did that, and we won 9 on bounce. So we've gone from one end that sticks to other. So they were just saying like how playing a year up helped us really, getting ragged about and roughened up. So we started from there. And we joined Yorkshire League, Division 5. We started in. So out at the time, Division 5, we didn't know any division. What would it like? You wouldn't know Kippax or your Siddles or anything like that. We were more playing like your Heworths, Hemsworth Dragons and teams like that. So we started off in Division 5, got promoted straight away. Division 4, promoted straight away. And we just kept promoted. And it got to about Division 2, started struggling, and then we got relegated and ended up on minus points. But at that age, I was about 13, and I was playing halfback because I was probably only play that could pass left to right. So as you do, you get stuck at halfback. So that was my position growing up. But every week it was like an away game. Like sometimes when you're in Wakey or Cass, an away game's 10 minutes down the road. But for us, it was like an hour. Wow. You're going to Keighley, it's about an hour and a half. And playing teams that never heard of us really, and no players ever, you never hear anyone really from Sheffield. So it started off that way, and it got to the age of scholarship. Like as a team that were in Division 4, getting promoted. So when it was scouting year in year 10 for your scholarship, we was just got to Division 2. Before that, the years before, people get scouted from like year 8, year 9. So it was hard always getting scouted. So if a scout came by, we're like, this is your one shot, we're gonna make it count. So we'd never know. So all of a sudden, we had this player called Tyler, who was my best mate at secondary school, and they were absolutely massive, like a man-child. No one could ever get hold of him. And we got to Division 2, and the scouts started looking at Division 1, 2, and he built a reputation for himself. So being biggest kid as you do, so scouts come down to watch, and I've played at the same time. And everyone's heard about him making all these line breaks and another, and they forgot what one who were putting him through, and it was me. So that was one. So like I was clinging on to him there because like scouts come down, and he's watched and he's played. He's obviously done well, and they come up to my mum afterwards and said, "Oh, we're a Wakefield scout." And they said, "Oh, we're interested in. Well, we're going to keep watching." So they kept watching, but he came down from Wakefield to Sheffield where we were. Let's go Niagara where we're playing at them. So it came round. I didn't really know a scout were watching, and after the game, I almost told me, and I'm like, I'm happy. I'm a bit excited, like, because I'd never think in my head, oh, we'd get scouted. I always, growing up, my ambition were when I first played for Hillsborough Oaks, my team. I didn't know any rugby league. I didn't know your Leeds Rhinos or anyone. So my ambition was to play for first team at open age because I didn't know any different. And then I became more aware by going up to Cumbria, my uncle, and Kells, so he's second team first, like coach. So it started off, I wanted to be a first team player for Hillsborough Oaks at open age, and then it got to, I want to play for Kells open age. And then I got more to know about rugby, I started watching it. I had a stepdad at the time who was playing rugby league, and he asked me, like, what do you want to do when you're older? I said, I want to play rugby. So at 12, 13, he sat me down and he said, you've got to sort your diet out. So I had like a rubber ring around me and everything. I was eating like takeaways before an amateur game, and I know it's not a big thing, but it's those little things that once you get right, picks up. So about 12, I went on like a 8-week, 12-week diet, pure like veggies, no carbs, everything. And before a game, I was taking caffeine shots because I've had no carbs, or I felt like off my head, running around fit as out, and I trimmed down right. And that's when I started thinking I can make a living like this. So he told me like watch rugby. I want you to watch rugby all the time. So it started Thursday night, Friday night, Sky Sports games, innit? So about 13, I'm sat there watching every single game I could. Before that, when I was younger, if a game were on TV, I thought it was like a lucky day because I'd never know when I was younger when a game would be on BBC, Challenge Cup. So I'd go to my granddad's often, and he'd stick it on. He's only got Freeview, so we'd go around. It's on Freeview, so I'd watch it. But it was them times where I'd watch it and not understand anything, so I was too young and thought, oh my god, this would be on TV. But when I got old, I started watching the Sky Sports. So I remember watching like the Gailers at Castle and his drop kicks against St Helens, and when they played against when Ben Barber were playing, it was a tense game, and like the games that you stick with and you think it's good that. And because I was playing at halfback at the time, I went up back guard and started like practicing little kicks.
It's an interesting point that we get that a lot of players we've done over years and asked. It's like weird. They'll have little things like that, snippets of seeing a player or certain game, and that's why we try and promote the flamboyant. I know people say this, but the Jai Fields this year will be doing more for young people. We're watching Jai. Everybody will want to be Jai Fields, so at the moment we need to promote that. Did you agree with that?
Yeah, I do totally. Like, especially like backgrounds like Sheffield and London, and where we want to promote game Newcastle. So you need to promote that as much as you can. And if you see, for example, I'm a Sheffield United fan, so if you see Billy Sharp score a goal, it's everywhere all over. And rugby, if you can do that, you get nail on head, like, because he's got the pace. And then when you watch younger kids play, you see the agile kids in art running fast, and you think they're doing well, and then you think, how do they know that? And obviously from watching it, they've got the snippets of what Jai Field has, but just at a younger age.
I think the YouTube and they're putting all we've asked for it for years, but all the match highlights now go on YouTube. I think it's more content goes on social media.
Yeah.
So young people can do it. I think that's what we've got. The Rugby League have done really well the last 12 months. Taking this content. Still think we do a lot more. Still think we make it a bit more razzmatazz and show them what these, and hopefully interviews like this for young lads like you saying how you watched it and let's get the next ones coming along. But picking it up from Sheffield, it's weird because I'm a Donny lad. And I said this to people, they didn't understand it. I said, I never got mentioned rugby league as a kid. So our side of Doncaster were never mentioned rugby league, only football. It was the Bentley side where they had it. But I never heard of rugby league till I watched, probably Ellie Ranley and the boys in that era. Do you think South Yorkshire rugby will ever catch on? Do you think it'll ever? Because we've all tried. I once said, can't Sheffield Doncaster join together and do a South Yorkshire franchise? That didn't go down well, saying things like that. But both sets of fans is down to minimum 1,000. I don't know how much
Yeah.
Sheffield. How much Sheffield?
100
Wow.
some days. So I totally agree with that point. I feel like South Yorkshire is such a big place, and when you look at what sports and athletes come out of Sheffield, you'd be stupid why not to. And
Yeah.
I feel like it promoted, but I don't really get how it's promoted, because when you've got the Sheffield Eagles, for example, they go around to schools and might do some coaching and that, but that's about it. You don't see no flyers. And I was thinking about where like billboards, even sticking it on a billboard like rugby leagues on TV. You know what I mean? And promoting it that way. But Sheffield is quite competitive. You've got the Steel City Derby football. You've got your Kel Brooks, your Kid Galahad's, and all coming out of there. Your Ingles Gym, and it's the live breed like sports really. My granddad, like for example, he used to play football, Sheffield boys, and then he played for Sheffield rugby team. And but it's getting that pump that effort into it. It might not go your way for the first few years, but after you start seeking.
Well, it's not just rugby league. There's rugby union in Sheffield. I never saw that as
No. So you're right with that. Like for example, you said Bentley, and there's Tolbar as well.
That's
only two teams I could think of really. And in Sheffield, there's Hillsborough Oaks where there's a Forges, but I think they've only got an open age team. So it's like you need rugby union. There's like it's more up in like the posher side of Sheffield. The rugby union.
Yeah.
You don't see the rugby union in like a rougher estate or anything like that. It's just like the posher end of Sheffield. So I reckon that mix don't really mix well, and especially in Sheffield, like a few council estates, so people don't really want to go up there and feel like they're not wanted or they're not.
We ID talent like we do. God, the athletes that'll be out there, it's just crazy. I think that the sport's finding out more and more that the more chances we're getting to put these athletes, even if they've got no rugby background, they're finding that the stories now are coming that the game's that fast. It's got that fast and athletic that actually you're better off looking for that type of character to play this game, other than a kid who's played from 7 and understands it, but he's not athletic enough to play this modern day game. Because we went to the sales last night, we got discussing rugby. I said, it is that fast at the moment, and the injuries, and if you're not super, super, super fit, you're literally down to 2.5 games, you're getting injured, 3 games, you're getting injured. So these young lads coming through, I think that's the area they'll go to. They could go and put a satellite thing on in South Yorkshire, do a 3-day camp and invite every single kid from everywhere to come to this camp. Please try. It shouldn't be about the rugby at first. It should be about how athletic they are, and have a look if there's anybody who might, you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally agree. Like there's, for example, football. I used to play football, non-league football when I was younger, and there were 5 teams in all in a 2-mile radius of where I lived. 5 teams, every age group you could think of, and you had to get trials to get in that squad. When you go to a rugby team, do you ever hear of, you've got trials to get in an amateur team? Like, have you ever heard of?
No, never.
But football, there's trials, and that's an amateur. Like, so when I went up to there and thinking, bloody, that's a trial, and went to rugby, I thought, I've got in already. Like, you question yourself. So there's these kids that like they play football, but then they might be too big for football, and they're not slim enough, and they're not athletic. But when you look at a footballer's frame, it's very, very frail, aren't they?
Yeah, of course.
But then there's
big legs though. Always big legs.
But then there's players out there playing in those non-league teams that could play, and from those amateur rugby. And
we just took a kid to Cass.
He's quite big.
Kieran, and he's a proper 6'4" a goalkeeper at Sunderland till he was 17. I think 16 and a half, 17. And he's a huge frame. He's a good athlete. Never knew much about rugby. Went to Newcastle and got involved in there, and then decided to give it a go. So he's full time at Cass, but his background is fantastic. Come on.
Exactly, and the amount of players that I know like that I've played football with. I've tried saying come down to rugby, and there was about 3 lads that came down, but the amount of football teams that sit there, if you can just get half for that with rugby, it'd be legendary. Like the amount of teams, I would hate to think how many football teams. There's well over like 200 football teams in Sheffield, when there's only one rugby team.
It's crazy.
Yeah, so promoting it, I feel like there needs to be more of this World Cup. Like Bramall Lane, it's going to be at Sheffield, but you need to get Sheffield fans. There's going to be Sheffield Wednesday fans, like rugby league fans as well, that don't want to go to Bramall Lane because they're a Wednesday eye.
Oh,
so you know what I mean? There's going to be that so you need to get that clash. You need to promote it where you think, you know what, I'll put my football to the side and I'll go to Bramall Lane to watch rugby, like because they're fans. And I just hope they fill the stadium like with Bramall Lane at the World Cup.
That's amazing. Well, it's great from rugby league, and we all need to get behind it. So we'll give that a pump there, Corey.
Yeah.
We'll get behind that one. Do you know what the game is yet? Who's playing there?
I don't know. I think Italy might be based in Sheffield or a team like that. But I reckon just getting a few people behind it to Uni City as well. So the amount of uni students there,
100%.
and if you can like
Give them free tickets.
yeah,
Bring them to the match.
and like the varsity teams, like when they get about 8,000 fans to an ice hockey game, and none of them know what ice hockey is.
I get it.
So if they can fill it out, if they get uni students and say, "Oh, it's a great piece up or whatever," etc., they'll go for that, and then they'll see the rugby and enjoy that. And I think there's about 80,000 students in Sheffield, so if you can just chip into that, then it'd be good for the sport, and like especially like the Bucks League that you can get at uni. If you can promote that, Sheffield Hallam, Uni of Sheffield, get them going to their games and offer them student tickets, or get like even like partner up with like, it might sound crazy, nightclubs. Say if you get a ticket, you get a free entry to this nightclub. And I swear to God, you'd have about 100 loads of students going for that.
Said it years ago actually with Mick. I felt the uni's that our growth area, the uni and the colleges is our way of getting World Cup could be the fantastic time to give as many as you can. Get him here. Let's talk about Wakey. So you've gone to Wakey. What age did you go Wakey?
So I was 14 when I signed scholarship. So I'm like born in August. I'm always youngest in year, so I always felt myself when I went to scholarship. Someone free they were always more or less a year in front of me. So when I went there, like they were me and my mate Tyler who got scouted and Manchild. So I'm sat with him more or less holding his hand, and like we're there at training. We went to York St John for first day at scholarship. So we ended up getting scouted. We got the sheets of paper through letter and it said you've been scouted. The declaration of interest. So I've gone to school that day, and I said to my mates, "Oh, I've been scouted by a club." And they were like, "Oh my god!" Like, I remember getting that letter going to school and saying, "Oh, I've been scouted." And said, "Who is it?" I said, "Oh, it's Wakefield Trinity." They said, "Is that a good team?" And that I was like, "Yeah, they're in top league. They're in top league, don't we?" And they're like, all my mates and probably near my area. If you say rugby league, they say, "Oh, Bora."
Yeah.
Like that ain't me being big headed, but I stand out wherever I go because you're that kid that plays rugby, aren't you? Like
because you're the only one.
Yeah,
I get it.
It's like sometimes it's like it gets a bit awkward. It's like
well, to be honest with you, let's go back to what we just said. That's a great thing for World Cup for Rugby League. Should be using you in a way. I'd been getting you on the pitch. I know it's you're not laughing, but I'd be getting you there and saying this is one of your own. And he's here and he plays in it, and he comes from a town where they don't produce many players. And I've been milking you all over it, young court. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, there's a few like at my amateur team is me, and then there's like Corey Aston, who's at Halifax now, and Eddie Batte, who's at Wakefield.
Perfect.
So us like, and Mark Aston obviously came through that squad as well, and Jason Davidson as well at Leeds. He'll never let me forget that. He always says to me, he always used to say,
you're quite a good player.
He said, "Oh, you'll always be second best player in Sheffield. I'll be first to come out." And so it's a bit of crack, but I remember like so. With that though, like promoting it, I reckon, like when I went to school, like I said, and I said it, everyone was like just happy for me, but they didn't really have a clue.
No,
they didn't know, and they didn't have a absolute like. So I have to explain myself to them, even though I'm happy because I've just found out. But I remember going home, speaking to my uncle, and he knows everything about it. So he's like, "Oh, good luck and prepare for it." So come to the first training session at York St John, like probably dieted, no cheat days for the last 3 weeks or so. And gone there thinking, right, this is it now, 100% now from here. So I've gone and Andy Kelly was the head of youth at the time, and I had a coach, Tom Kitchick, head coach. So we've turned up. We've got players like who's in the first team squad now, like Yusuf, Crafty. But so we've turned up their second year. This was our first year. So we've done testing, and I remember getting home thinking like that. It killed me in a way because it flogged us to death, and I never had anything like it. Like some amateur teams might do it, but at Sheffield, if someone did that, they wouldn't turn back and they didn't want to risk it. The players not coming back. So I've gone on absolutely knackered. I remember going home sleeping for the next 2 days straight, and then training again. And started getting a bit more like, this is weird. But like, because I was like going Monday training at Wakefield, Tuesday training at amateur, Wednesday training with Wakefield, Thursday day off, Friday team run with amateur, and then play Saturday. So I had a Thursday and Sunday off.
Who would take you all then?
Well, it was my mum and stepdad at the time taking me. So I had to be grateful for that, and I'll always be grateful for that in a way. And
so I know because of Joe with tennis and all the players I've had over the years. comes down to, doesn't it? Then you're 12, 13, 14. Some parents doing 5-6 days a week in a car around their work. Just amazing.
Yeah.
And I actually they said to me, who's the most important person in developing a player? I said, probably parents.
Yeah, and that's another thing as well. Like, 'cause my mum at the time was like a single mum, so like she was doing it all on her own at the time, and just getting through it. And we weren't much off, but she'd always provide. I'd never go out, and so that's what I'll always be grateful. But at times when I was like 6, 7 years old, my mama and granddad they're taking me on tram and catching 2 trams to get a bus to get to training. And when my mum's had to work on a night shift, I'm having to my grandparents taking me. So when I always think back when I
you
find
play like that, by the way. You play honest. You play very honest. I think that's building your background now. You've obviously been a lot of that's helped build your character.
well, yeah, I believe in stuff like that as well. And like obviously, like I'd have to rely on people as well to catch lifts, because if my mum took me to all the training sessions, she wouldn't be able to work. So my mum and granddad, they always helped out, and I'd have to get a lift one day with them, and they'd take me to training there, or I'd have to rely on a mate too. So that's how it started. But then following on with the Wakefield, every night. But at the time, because I had Tyler and Manchild, we like car shared. So mum one night, his mum other night, and we kept doing it that way. So it came up to the first game and like first pre-season, and I remember always like being there thinking these kids are like really good, like always doubting myself. When it got to you playing on weekend against Warrington in scholarship, and like,
This is it.
Yeah, playing on wing. So I jumped on wing and did my best, got concussion first game. So like Jesus, but I carried on playing, and I managed to get myself in that scholarship team all year, and I were buzzing, like I was like happy, thinking, oh, have I managed to do this? Like I was like winging it in a way, and I kept sticking at it, and it got to the time where it were England trials, and happened so that something went wrong and my details didn't get sent off to England, so I missed out on that under 15s.
Wow.
And I thought, right, shit, that like I felt mad, I felt gutted, I felt angry, and then it was like Miguel at the time and forgot to send the details off to England, so that's what happened. So like that was a like hard one to take when I realised that this sport you didn't go playing sailing, you got to take some adversity sometimes. So that was my first bit. So I carried on with that, and at the time there were like a few clubs like saying, "No, want to come this that, and other." And Mum said, "Cora, I can't take you." She sent me that. Said, "If you want to go to these clubs, I can't take you. Like you've got honestly the amount of like the travel it'd be, I can't take you." So I said, "It's fine, Mum. That's fine." And she said that before I even made my decision. She just had to tell me. So the next year at Wakefield, done well, just going hard as I can, just training as hard. And then in my last so under 16s comp, because our team players started dropping off at 15 like they do at amateur, so we had to play at under 18s. So I don't know how I managed to do it, but my age, so I was 15 playing it under 18s league.
Wow.
Year 11. So when we were playing that, I was like we were in Division 4. So like the standard weren't as high, but the physicality were, because I'm playing like 17, 18, 15. So my age of like school year, we're having to play up with older year, and we're having to play like up a year again, like happened early on in my career. But we started winning this time, and like Division 4, so standard's not as good, but I took it as like I'm gonna get used to like tackling bigger people and that. So then come to July time, May time, my mum noticed a Wigan scout, a man called Tom Bickerton. So we just sat there, and it comes to the declaration of interest in it for the academies, and so it's come through, and I didn't know whether I was going to get a contract at Wakefield, never mind another club. So they sat me down, and Wakefield said, "We've got an academy contract for you." And then letter came through, Wigan Warriors. So
wow.
I saw that, I looked again, I said, "Wigan Warriors." I said, "Mum, what does that?" She said, "It's Wigan Warriors."
Yeah.
So I thought, oh my God. So I'm like, butterflies, I feel sick. I thought, Wakefield and Wigan, like, why them? Surely if they want to be, other people want me at the same time. I said, why do they want me? So I started sitting down, we started speaking, like, what's life going to be like? So I thought I'm a young lad, 15, Wigan want me, so I thought, Wakefield, like, I'd always be grateful for, because if it weren't for them, I wouldn't have probably had a club. And I loved it there, and everyone might say, oh, the Bellevue and this and that, but I think it's a lovely place, and you got to make most of what you've got. Sometimes beggars can't be choosers. Like, that's what I felt in my case. Like, it went for them, and I sat down with my mum, and she said, so my stepdad had, like, we're just around there, but my mum and him split off at that time. And he like gave me advice and that from his career and stuff like that. But I took the plunge, and I'll live over there. But it weren't purely of, oh, it's a better club I want to go. It's of, I want to go there for life. So like life experience. So I went over there, just turned 16, 16 like 1 month old. Moved out, lived with a player called Steve Hampson, who used to play for Wigan.
Yeah, legend fullback, yeah.
So
tough.
Brownie were in my
Joe Brown.
Yeah, so I moved in and he moved out, so went in. So you can imagine how bad that room stunk. But went in and took the plunge and moved over. I got told like the normal schoolboy wage and 3-year deal with 4th year optional, and
it's still getting done, by the way.
And that was that. So I thought, right, this is it now. This is when it gets even more serious. But in that year as well, I got picked for the England squad. So I went to the training sessions from Wakefield, carried on. Got picked to go France. So in those 2 years of me playing at Wakefield, I didn't really play centre. I played winger, fullback. And in my 2nd year of scholarship, we played St Helens. And second time I come across Dodder. So he's
That's
playing.
Lewis Dodds.
Yeah, Lewis Dodds. So he's playing, and I just remember like we got beat like 54 something. I just remember thinking, he's the man. Yeah, even at that age you could tell. And
big shout out to Lubac, by the way. He's had some bit of diversity, some shocking news last 7 days, but he's in good health. And we spoke to him. I think I spoke to him in 2 days. I speak to his dad every day anyway. But he seems as more determined to come back. Even he's like he's got it, and whatever it is, he's like bang right. Let's get on with that. Let's come back and.
Yeah.
And we're all going to miss him because I actually believed he'd have played in World Cup. I actually could have been one of the youngest players ever to play in the World Cup.
Well, from that age, you could tell like the potential he had. And I remember coach after the game saying that St Helens said that's the best thing they've seen in the past 10 years. I remember, like even scholarship coach told us that after the game. Said, "Don't worry, lads. You
don't get your sent down. He's just that good."
Yeah, but
that'd be like me and you in basketball in about 20 minutes when we had the challenge, by the way.
But no, that game, they started me at 13. So I played 13. And then I ended up playing dummy half because dummy half got injured. And I went to back row. All in one game, and then Jamal were playing centre and they said, go with centre. So I went centre in that game as well.
Wow.
And then I ended up at fullback. So I played 6 positions in one game. And I think that did me good just playing at scholarship at a good level. But getting onto England, they put me centre. So that was the first time I've been put centre. And defending on an edge, it's hard, and especially if you've never played there. And I know a bit about rugby, but never played there properly. So probably one of the worst games I've ever played, and it's against France. So I thought, Jesus. So I've come off game thinking, right. So women played Catalans the week after, and I played better, but that was like getting used to the centre role. So England were one that said we want to see him at centre, so I started getting put more to centre.
Which coach was that then?
The coach there was Danny Wilson.
Well
Paul
done, Danny.
Schoolthorpe came across, and Mark Applegarth was there as well.
Wow.
Marsh and
Mash.
So we were over there, and Ant Middleton, not Ant Middleton, Ant.
So he's
I know SAS. Ant from Wigan, the scholarship coach, he was there as well.
Yeah.
So we was there. Said we're gonna put you centre. So the first test match, I didn't get picked. They sat me down and said it's been an hard call, but you're not playing. So I said that's fine. So I went to train next day. I thought I'm gonna get myself in that team. So I tried my hardest. And Jude, he was playing. He started.
Yeah, from Hull.
From Hull, and
Jude.
He got a concussion, so I jumped in the second game and the third game. So I played them. But then after that, I thought, right, I played for England now. I want to keep in the system, and we've gone to I've gone to Wigan. Played the academy year out. Back at the start, it was great. It was tough, and I don't mind it being tough. And Matty Pete was like head of youth then.
Yeah.
So the coach is there, and his coaching is a tough coach. Like it tells you how it is, and I don't like that's what you want.
I think he's come across. I'd seen some reviews on him the other day, and I don't do the social media, but I went on to have a look, and they're all saying he's the most honest, straight talking coach we've had for years, and he's saying it how it is, and he's even in defeat he talked honest about how he thought he were and saying Saints, you know. So I think he's you're gonna know Matty. I think you're gonna know him. Actually get the humour out of him. I'm a laugh. He's got a right cheeky sense of humour. He's got it all. He gives me some right hammer. But I think sometimes when he comes across, I think he's seen more of his personality now. I like it. A lot more people have seen he's actually dry as out.
Yeah, exactly. And that's how we were like back then as well. So he's not changed.
Yeah.
So that's that's a good thing to say. Like as the head coach,
Yeah, yeah.
now, he's not changed. That's a good sign. And when I went to that academy, there were players there like Iris Smith for like the halfback third year, Jake Shorrocks, Havard, Smithers, Yamal Hanlon, Irage, Brad O'Neill, all these players that are in the first team now, they was in that academy. And so when we were playing, we won I think they won 17 out of 18. But
I've said I think they've won the last 11, might be 11, 10 grand finals.
Yeah,
that's just crazy. Just not even unheard of.
So then they were living there with Jan Poe, Steve Hampson, living life, loving it. Coming back and forth from Wigan and back in Sheffield, like a 3-hour train journey with all the switches there to do. So I'm going back and forth and got to about July time, but I felt something different. And then throughout that year, like homesick, like from January, from going home at December for 2 weeks, coming back in January, it's hard, it's homesick, tough. I was only 16 and I'm thinking about, well, I'm getting life experience here, like I'm becoming a better man as well as I am a player. So that's how I felt. So I was there, and Ampo would be like Monday to Thursday, he'd be in London working on HS2 train with his company. But I'd been out, so I'd cook on my own. But his wife, who we had at the time, Laverne, she'd always put food out for me, and that's what I was grateful for as well. And I'd go around one of the days he weren't there, and I'd have tea. And then on the Thursday when he came back, we'd go for tea. And
how good's that?
Lovely family,
like,
yeah, absolutely lovely.
Big shout out there.
And it's a credit, like, to the club. And when we'd go across, and I'd be coming back and forth, but when I went home, I just felt like I want to be at home.
Very young for you, that one. I know I've had quite a lot of players in show me time who've gone, and I think Brad Singleton must have been 16 when he came from Cumbria to Leeds. I can remember Jared, he didn't last. I think we've had about probably 20, 30 players who've gone and left. And it's a tough gig. It's an absolute tough. There's not very few get through it, because I do think it's a lot. Well, I think we need to probably look at it a lot more than we do. I think people should say, "Wow, if you're going to take a kid at 16 away from his family," and leave. I obviously we have Joe Brown, and we have a lot of players who've gone through that. They're a big lad from Wakefield, the prop.
Your Summers.
No, it had been just
Kilner.
Yeah, Ben.
Yeah, Ben.
And he'd had a terrible, he found it really difficult to do it. He'd gone from Wakefield and close family unit, and when I met him, it was like, and I thought it is tough.
Yeah, well, it's hard, and it's like the more like you start thinking, I'm over here for rugby. I've moved because of rugby, and if rugby don't go right, then your week goes wrong.
Yeah,
and it's like all those little like knock-on effects, and it builds up. It could be a bad week at training. You think, right, if you can't get it out of your head, you like, if you're with your family, you go home, you say, "Oh, I've got a shit session." They say, "Oh, just speak to me," or "Speak to me." It's gone. You've nipped it in bud early, like on the same night. When you're there, you go back to the host family, and nothing they can do. They can ask you how you are, and you might just say, "Yeah," but you know. So when you go to bed and then you're on your own, you're thinking, "I'm away from my family, I'm away from my mates." If you got a missus or all like that, your connections, your ties, you're all gone, and your rugby's gone wrong. So when you start overthinking what you've done wrong and what's that going to lead to, and 9 times out of 10 it don't lead to anything, but your mind takes over, and that's what I feel like happens with all the lads that move on, including myself. But it got to January and got homesick, and I remember texting you sometime, and that year in the first year academy, January, I think that's when I first signed you, the back end of January.
It is, yeah. And I know I could tell I'd spoke to your mum, I think, and your mum had said, "Look, you need to have a chat with him." We'd had a chat, and then it was like, "Right, let's do it." We did it pretty, and I think I spoke to Matty Pete and said, "Look, pretty quick, let's do it." Spoke to Radlinski, Chris, and said, "Look, I think this is the best for him." I thought they were great. Not to ask for a fee, because that was my fear, wasn't it? I said to you, "Oh God." But I'd already spoke to Kevin Sinfield. I think it was Kev. I'd spoke to Kev and said, "Look, there's a kid I really like. He's finding it really difficult away from home. He can go from home," and showed Kev a few clips and went through it. And I mean, I don't know how many players at 17 have been to Wigan and Leeds in space of 12 months. I reckon that's going to be a first. You've actually got 2 of the biggest clubs of all time, and you've done both by the time you were 17. So there's not many going to have that on the resume, is there?
No. But yeah, I remember like it happening. You just went bang, 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 and then we sat in coach's office, and Kev, Richie, my mum, and you were just sat there all in a 2-seater room. But
And Rich had known your background a bit, hadn't he? I think he knew a little bit more about you, and he'd obviously spoke to Kev. So yeah, well, I you know what? We'll talk about your journey at Leeds quickly in a bit, but I was sat there thinking of this the other day when we got you to Leeds, and it was like this new beginning, and you're in there, and I could see straight away you obviously had your bounce my back. You'd got this. Yeah. You seemed to be totally like you were, buzzing about it, and I can remember. I think Gailey rang me after so long and said, "Mate, what a cracking young man this lad is. He's got a lot about him." And I think you needed that, didn't it? It was time, wasn't it?
I needed that, and I think it's just being back at home. My mum and my mates and
your mates and your family.
I had my girlfriend at the time, and we were still with nine. She'd always, like, my family and girlfriend, they'd always come up, like, more girlfriend came up, like, she'd catch a train at Wigan, like, just to come and see me because she knew I was homesick, and she'd come up and sleep there and, like, be there for me, and then my mum would come up and my family would come up and stuff like that. So that was that, and my uncle at the time, because I was struggling with train fare on the wage I was on, so, like, I had, like, 50 quid, 40 quid for myself every week after my train fare or whatever.
And that's a good point, that, just to let people know when we put it out there. Without going into it and making it like, I can't believe it's how low people get paid, but it is, isn't it? It is that bad, isn't it?
Yeah, man, like, I the worst thing were, like, the train, like a train fare, I reckon if you move a young lad or you pay for his transport, if you're not going to, like, the deal's not going to be high. And I remember, like, sometimes I'd have to come home twice a week because I was sick, like, homesick that bad. I wanted to stay at the Wigan, you know what I mean? I wanted to be at that club, but the homesick took over. But, like, 30, 40 quid, like, after you take the transport off, and that's what you'd have for yourself after that the week. And like from 100 you'd spend, like, train tickets were about 30 quid. And if you were gonna miss that train, there wouldn't be another one for the day, so you'd have to get taxis to get there on time. So that's another tenner.
Wow.
And it'd all go down. And at the time I was saying, and my uncle up in Cumbria started contributing like 100 quid a month to my train fare, and, like, game changer, like,
wow,
back on my feet again, and I'm happy and not having to stress or, cut corners and stuff like that. And that's what I was grateful for at the time as well. And he bought my first pair of boots, like, proper pair, and I ended up debuting in those boots, so they hold a bit of value to me. But yeah, so that was that. So when we went to Leeds, I remember the funny story, like, Jason were at Leeds, and Simon Bell's showed me around with my mum and that. I was here walking around, and they said, "Oh, how much team did you play for, Corey?" This is what Jason said. So, first time I've ever done this in my life, I've said, "You probably won't heard like, you've probably not heard him before." And he went, "Tell me." I went, "Team called Sheffield Hillsborough Oaks." He went, "I played for them." And that's the first ever person I've ever met that knew the team.
He was waiting for you to ask, wasn't he? He obviously did his own work.
And he asked, and he had played for him, and he had come through the system as well. And I was shocked. I said, I cried.
Yeah, no, you didn't. You didn't. Jason, I love that.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. First person I've ever said, "Oh, you probably not heard of him."
Yeah,
and he played for him, and went up, and obviously the deal went ahead, and it was at Leeds. It was awesome experience. Like, the players there and the young lads, including myself, like, when we were there, it was like just awesome. Like, and then I'd go up one day a week and train on first team, and we were doing a passing drill, first ever training session I've ever trained at first team, and it's 100 pass drill. So we get to 99, and I drop it. So I've dropped it on 99. We're about to start again. So I got the nickname of 99 Folk. So from then, that was that. So I just remember dropping and thinking, how have I dropped this on 100? And then it went from then. I carried on going up one day a week, then 2 day a week, and lockdown happened. So I managed to get 2 games at the academy for Leeds, and then when lockdown happened, it was just training, keeping fit in that. And they were awesome. That they had cooking programs going off like in lockdown. We had programs that we had to finish and complete. They had, like, towel workouts and everything that you've never heard of. And then they made a cooking app, like an ingredients app. So every meal, so if you had a training day at home, you click on that and it'll show you, like, things that you could cook yourself.
It's brilliant.
So things like what they were doing for us, yeah. And then it came back into June time, when rugby was coming back. Everyone was excited. I remember getting a text saying, "Oh, we want you to come in full time when you come back." So at the time I went straight back in, and I had college at the same time. So I was at Wigan College, and then I did my second year at Leeds College of Building. So some days I'd get up at 7, set off at 7:30, it took me an hour and a half from Sheffield to get to Leeds. I'd get car park a bit first lecture for 9 at college, finish at 3:30, get to training for 4:30 gym session at Leeds, finish there about 7 o'clock, get home about 8. So it was 7 while 8, 3 days a week while I had college. If I didn't have college, it wouldn't be a shorter day. But that's what I was doing, and I didn't mind it at all. I absolutely loved it because I knew that I'm at home. I'm going back home.
Right, makes sense.
Yeah, so that was that. And when it came back to, I'm just going to go in full time, and I finished my college by then. It was like, I couldn't think out better for me. And I just progressed. And like when you said you liked Gailey there, and it's the first time I probably, from watching him drop a kick against Saints, now I'm training with him.
We win 4 years forward, haven't we? And then you're training with him.
So it's mad when you're training with all these players, and the world-class players there at Leeds, and it's a world-class setup, isn't it? So
just give me some on that, because I try and say this with a lot of young players. How you handle yourself in that first team environment has got to be right, because it's very quickly. I hear them. I hear the older players. I hear it, and they'll say, "Oh God," and that goes back to coaches, and coaches then are bringing it. So what advice would you give a young player going into that environment? You sat with people that you've watched on sidelines, so you can't get too started. You've got to tackle them. You've got to try and compete with them, but also you're then around men. And you've got to make sure you don't say the wrong thing, the piss take and everything. Yeah. But you've got to be able to take a bit of a joke, haven't you? And
it's just like know your place, I'd say. Just know your place and be yourself. And if someone speaks, you don't shy away. And when you're there, don't sit in corner. You know what I mean? Just be yourself and don't shy away. And just know to handle yourself in a situation like I'm only young myself, so I'm still doing it at the minute.
Yeah, of course.
So, but if anyone came up from younger underneath me, I'd try and be mates with them as well. You know what I mean? I'd say don't try and show off, and there might be some players that might say do this, but you know that you're gonna get other players coming at you if you do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
So you just gotta know when to do it and when not to. It's all about timing, I'd say, really. But it's your first day. You're not gonna go around taking piss out of this, at another.
Because you find, and we've talked about this. A lot of the players have. If the older player knows you're coming, so don't let no one think that 28-year-old's not looking up and saying, "Oh, I've heard some good things about this kid," and then you're looking and you might have a relationship with him, but he's only giving you so much because he's thinking, no way am I going to give this kid. He's going to have to earn every minute of coming on and getting my shirt. So I have a lot of players, older ones, and they don't act insecure around the players, but when they're speaking to me, they are totally aware of what's coming. And then they'll say to you, you need to have a look at me for another club. Honestly, it's not for me to mention names, but I've had big players go, mate, you did start looking for me a club. And I'm like, why? They goes, mate, have you seen this kid? And you're like, well, yeah, actually, yeah. So it is a funny environment because you've got to be competitive, haven't you?
Yeah.
You've got to go in there every day and go, listen, I'm coming.
Yeah, and if you can't, sometimes you might not be the strongest United team, but you can always be the fittest, I think.
Yeah.
So you're up there with the fitness, and you competing fitness wise, and I think it's all about effort, really. Like if your effort levels are up there high, people around you see that and they see how hard you work, and then think, you know what, this kid, he works hard.
You're getting their respect.
Yeah, and I think it's all through effort. You could have all the talent in the world, but if you ain't got the effort behind you, you soon get caught out, and I feel like that's when you start to
get the respect by just working and working hard, and I get it. It makes sense that because we've had so many good players got into that environment, and God, I've seen them get chewed up quick. You just know it's going to happen. You actually you're wincing because you're thinking, oh, what have you done today? Joe's recently had one of a young player going into a first environment, getting the phone calls about this young player, and Joe's like, Dad, what how do I handle this situation? How do I help? And I'm saying, Joe, you just have to do what you've just said. Wind your neck in a bit, train as hard as you can, and bit by bit they'll give you respect.
Exactly, and it might come over a season. You know what I mean? Like I remember going into the first training session at Leeds, and I just remember being sat there thinking, what do I do here? You know what I mean? You've got Nikolai walking past who's up there. You've got Barry Newman walking past, thinking, where do I stand here? And it's just finding your place and just knowing how to get on with everyone, and that's how it goes.
There were a story actually. I hope you don't mind me saying. Jordan Baldwinson, he'd got into. You know Baldwin.
I think I've heard it. Sat in wrong seat.
Sat in wrong seat, and I absolutely love it. I tell it a bit, and I just can imagine Baldy going in and sitting down, and no one telling him not to sit down. But it's JP's seat in it, the Great Britain best player in the world, whatever. And big JP's looked at him and said, "What are you doing, mate? You don't sit in my seat." And Baldy's got a split decision whether he, no problem, mate, or he stays here. Well, Baldy stayed there. and they've had a bit of an arse off, you know, and they reckon they've had up wrestling. And I remember Baldy ringing me, "I can't believe it, can't believe that's happened." And I'm like, "I want to give you some quick advice," and he just said, "No problem, bang." I said, "But you know, you've tried to show that you're not intimidated, but you know, pick your fights,
Exactly.
pick your fights."
Exactly.
But that was good what you said there. So, when did you make your debut, Cass?
No, so that was my first start. So
Start.
trained that first year of lockdown, and it's coming up to like time where we start playing. So 2020, I was 17 when I came back. Started training full time with first team. Turned 18 in August. I remember the date, September 31st against Catalans. It was a Wednesday night.
Oh, sorry.
It was a night game, and about 6 of us, I think it were, that made our debut. There's me, Tyndall, Jack Broadbent, Sam Walters, Jared O'Connor, Muzzy.
Yeah.
So like us 6 were making it, and then there were the Fev lads that came up, like James Harrison and that who were playing. And you think, right, we're all making a debut at the same time against Catalan. So we all said, like, imagine if we all stayed together, how much of a good story that would have been.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we've all debuted together, we've all stayed together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But didn't work that way. But I was sat on bench. So they're playing, and I'm thinking, right, my nerves are getting worse and worse here because I'm sat on bench. When you touch ball, it goes. Second half, Rich comes up and says, "You're on." So I remember just getting flustered, like getting a bit anxious and nervous, and thinking, right, I must have been about 86 kilos and playing against the Catalans, and they're a big physical side. And I remember going up to Tyndall saying, "What's ball feel like?" You know, asking him stupid questions. And he went, "Shut up." And all of a sudden we just ended up going outside, and I went right edge with him. And I remember taking backfield carries against Sam Mower, trying to take them. And if it weren't him, it was Cassiano. If it weren't Cassiano, it was Mickey Mike. And I remember just thinking, geez. And I remember just trying to look for the smallest guy and saying, "I'm running at you." And it was a night to remember, and I'll like remember it. And we all made it together, so it's like it's a good story really to tell. And building on from that, I had the Saints game. So Saints game again, I was sat on bench. So us young lads have started and playing. It's a good time at minute. And I remember looking at clock, second half, he didn't come to it. So I think, all right, am I getting on here? Gets to 20 minutes in, thinking, coming on. Like 20 minutes left at second half, and I'm starting to think, I'm going to be sat here. Next minute, about 30 minutes, says, get up, you're going on. So I thought, right, 13 minutes. I remember texting you, I forget, I said, I had 13 minutes. I thought, you know what, I'm just going to go 100% miles out. And I think it took like 6 carries in 13 minutes, and just trying to get through it all, and D'ing up as well. And I still felt bad after 13 minutes playing against his, but never mind for later. But I remember getting that and think, right, you know what, I could, some like lads might say, oh, he's not playing me, this and another, throw everything all low. But I thought, I'm getting minutes, and I'm getting them.
One of the biggest clubs in the world, isn't it? So
so I'm playing at a club like this, and I'm getting minutes in. So we got to pre-season like the year after. Started training well. I think it was up to then it was one of the best pre-seasons I've done. I'm benching. I finally started benching 100 kilos. I'm getting happy, and this and another, and squatting this and another, and training well. Gets to Huddersfield game. Played Huddersfield friendly game. Played that against Latella, thinking, right, watching him, and I took away from game, right, I need to get better backfield carries, getting meters. So it got to first game of the season, and it was like that Huddersfield game, more or less. Rich said, it's between you and Jack, how you two play.
Jack Broadbent.
Yeah, so me and him were competing all pre-season, going at it, and it got to a point at Huddersfield game, said, honestly, round 1 is going to be based off this friendly game. Said, I'm just telling you now this, when you know. So I appreciated that, and went into game. Jack had run a full length, so I thought, right, but I carried on playing him, and Jack got picked for round 1 against Waker. So no bad blood. I were happy for him, you know what I mean? I'm not that type of kid to say, oh, I hope he does this and another. Yeah. So I wished him best of luck, and I were happy for him, you know what I mean? And I did everything I knew full well to what I could do. So I weren't gutted about anything. I just thought, you know what, I'm gonna keep going at it. And I thought to myself, I've come to close to starting round 1 at Leeds. So, and then he got to the second game against Cass. So we've played against Cass, and he said, oh, you're starting. So I've started on right edge, and Sutty won me half back, and Tom Briscoe winger. So we were playing, and that was my first ever start. So more or less, like, I was thinking, right, that's how we start a game and how we build into it. So I got into it, we're going at it, and taking Mickey at carries and this and another. And I remember like a slip play that casted and Oggy Holmes got around me, and I look back on it to this day, and I look and I think, how have I missed that tackle there? And Leeds fans are quite tough, aren't they? So I remember getting some sticker.
Yeah, we heard about that. Yeah, because
Um,
didn't a lot of players come out and go mad about that?
Yeah,
didn't they? Like,
yeah.
they had your back.
I remember a fair few plays, and
Yeah.
I remember playing that game. I thought, right, I came from the Huddersfield game, and I said I want to make meters. So I made 140 meters again on that cast game. So when I made 140 meters, I thought, right, I've done that. But the defence, and I started saying, oh, then slightly, because I was only 18, I've took it to heart slightly.
Yeah, I can remember.
So I've took it to heart, and I'm thinking, right, am I a bad defender? That means I'm a bad defender now. I'm an awful defender. So I get myself in a rut. I mean, all of a sudden, I started thinking, I'm not a bad defender. I just missed one tackle. Like
against an international, Oggy's been one of the best back rowers in the comp, hasn't he?
And he's strong as well, and strong as out. But I look back on that game, and edge my D stuff might have been off in reads and stuff like that, but I didn't take it to heart as much as I did later on down the line. And I remember, like, at the time, I didn't get a chance for that rest of that year, and I feel like that was solely the purpose why. That's what I feel.
No, we talked about it, didn't we?
Yeah. So
we were disappointed, wasn't it, that it was. If that were the one mistake, you should have been allowed to make that mistake and fix it up and get another opportunity pretty quick.
That's what I feel.
I think looking back, it's because it Leeds a big club. The pressure's always on.
Yeah, exactly.
The pressure's on Rich to play the players he thinks can win that game. So the development side sometimes goes out of the window. But I thought your personal development, I have a feeling that were a landmark in your. I think we'll talk about that in 10 years when I think you'll just what I think you'll do. I think we'll talk about that as saying that's the moment. That was the moment. You got the stick on the social media. You got a bit wishy-washy, and then you realise you'd actually had a really good game, and then you've gone bang, let's go.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what I felt like as well. And when it happened, I remember just coming off pitch thinking, I just said to myself, and that's all I said. It was Sky Sports game as well.
Yeah.
So it's getting plastered everywhere. This. So I've come off, and I'm a bit down, and some of the lads got around me in that, and which I appreciate. And the game didn't come after that, and I remember when I got myself that much into a rut, I started thinking, can I really play rugby? Am I gonna? And it's not that because I've not been picked for next week's game. It's other things that went off as well at the same time. And
do you realise, Corey, as a young man, the best players have self-doubt. So I'd always say you fight your self-doubt. Best players at any sport in the world have self-doubt. Even at 31, you'll still have Messi saying, "Oh, there's things here." I reckon that's just natural being.
Yeah, well,
don't let it overcome you. You can't let it beat you.
Yeah, exactly.
You've got to win. But I reckon I spoke to an international player yesterday. He said to me, "You know what? I think I'm off. I think I'm in." I'm listening, thinking, "Wow, he's going through that." So I'm like, "Come on, let's go back to what we know. You are a good player. You are." Do you know what I mean? It's
exactly,
I quite think it's quite healthy that.
I do, and I think it keeps you on your toes as well.
Exactly.
So that was that. I remember just thinking, right, I'm gonna get myself back on track here. I'm not gonna let that get to me. So when I started seeing tweets starting over, and it got to a point where I thought I'm gonna reply, and I thought, you know what, I'm not. I'm not really arsed to sit behind the screen. What can they say really? Like, why am I gonna let them bother me? I'm just gonna prove them wrong, and when the time does come.
Is it hard being a young player with social media? How does that work?
I'd say so. It depends how much of a thing you look at it, because I don't really search to see what people are saying about me. Like, but some players might, you know what I mean?
Well, I know they do, don't they? It must be terrifying to walk in and Google your name.
Yeah, exactly, and that comes up. So I had like things like never want to see him on team sheet again. How is he playing rugby? Wow, what's he doing? You know what I mean? And that they were polite ones as well. So, but people that might have a slight bit of an ego and they're going on to say, "Oh, I've played my game here, let me and see that." It's going to be
terrible.
Yeah. So I reckon when you're young and that, everyone's always going to have something to say about you. Like, I just don't really care.
My advice to any young player would be keep the advice to ones close to you. Don't worry about anybody else. People who you trust. Take that on. If you don't, it's not that you can't control what they're.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? What they're going to do. But if you keep the ones who you trust around you, a lot of players I've had over the years have always said to me, one thing they've enjoyed is how straight I am when they ask me how I think they play, and I go, "Oh yeah, I think you were this," and I go, "duh duh duh duh," and I think I owe them that. I genuinely owe the player that. to not tell a lie. So if it's something I don't like, I owe the player that honesty to say, didn't like what you did in D there, didn't like what you did this, thought you were lazy there. I think some people in our game wouldn't do that, but for me, is that you trust people, you dare say it.
Exactly, and that's you in times like that, you look to the people that you trust the most, and when they tell you that, then it doesn't hurt you as much because they're telling you you don't play as good. It's more like you feel like you know what, he's right there, and it's a fair point. And I remember like coming back from that and training. It didn't tip my mind off training. I still tried training hardest, and I started doing some D stuff as well, and started focusing on my D. And there was a psychologist at Leeds, and I started speaking to him, saying like a sports psychologist. I doubt myself that much that I play myself into a bad game, and spoke to him for a few months, and got to the point where I didn't really need to speak to him no more. And you got me on. I started playing academy. I was playing like my third year academy, I think it were, and being a third year academy were like a bit easier than when you were first. So I'm practicing all my flick passes and line breaks, this, that, and another. And you got me the chance at York.
Superb.
Loan.
Fordy Marino. He's the man, Fordo.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know what? He gets more stick on these show on our full 80. We give 40. I actually say it in a loving way. He deserves the stick because his ego. I said this, but he's hell of a coach at 40. I absolutely think he'll go all the way, and he was perfect for you. I don't know what it was. It was just perfect. Fordy's quite an hard person to get to rate a player, so it's not easy telling Fordy I like this player because his ego again. He likes to think he's going to go through and tell you. You're not telling Fordy, so do you know what I mean? So
exactly.
Have a look at this. I think I'll get you a centre. Or is he tough? Is he this? Is he that? Yeah, I'll have a look. And then when he sussed it, I was laughing because I think I went to your debut where we went?
Yeah, Swinton.
And then you obviously
Michael Lewis was halfback as well.
Mikey set it alight. Then Corey Johnson played. Two things that stuck out for me there were you had more family in crowd than they had fans, and your nana put fag out and give me full Monty. She give me a bit of magic. Tell so and so to, but she just dropped the fag, the old Marlboro Light. I was like, here we go, and then it was actually seeing Fordy, which I thought were genius. You'd got into the lead, and then I heard the crowd, and I'm looking around thinking, why is everyone? And it was Fordy making his way back for his wave, you know what I mean? And I can remember saying to him after the game, what happens if you don't win? He goes, I don't go for that.
Don't run back.
He don't go for that lap. I said, it's genius. And he completely got, he got the full Mourinho, and he's, you'll know yourself, he's quite an hard taskmaster, isn't he, what he tells you, but I thought them games were genius for you, because I had more people, and this is another one for players. I had more people talk about you in space of 4 weeks than they'd done the previous 17. It was like, oh my God, how good is he? Fordy's like, because he likes defence. Fordy's like, wow, he's tough. They'd never seen how many yards you do. Fordy's like, I think he's done 200 metres. I'm like, he's been doing that at academy.
Yeah,
exactly. Tyndall do 200 metres a game. They've literally got set for set. Fordy goes, God, I love his honesty. I love this. And then again, back to the cast miss tackle. I think this going to York as well will like it.
Yeah, exactly. Like when I was speaking, thinking to myself, I said, I'm not a bad defender. I missed one tackle. Does David Beckham miss a free kick in his awful free kick? Yeah. You know what I mean? So that's what I thought. And gone into the game and playing against Louis Centre.
Yeah.
We're just playing there, and I'm making my tackles. Me and Mikey on partnership, like half-back centre. And
that was Lewis Roberts, wasn't it? Yeah, got it. Love Lewis. Wow, yeah.
And Kieran Dixon was a winger, so like I had a bit of experience around me, and I just played well, and I just played like how I normally think I'd play, like, you know what I mean, like how I played normally. And I think I did. I made like 190 metres that game, 180. Wow. So it was good for me that. And then I played the week after against Widnes, I think it were, and I made 160 metre, but I played well and. Played well again in that.
Got to explain to people who
were
watching this for the first time. When you're saying 160 metres, because I know, you know, what do you mean by that?
Just like the meters that you take with the ball. So when you like from the dummy half and the meters you carry, it's the meters that you make after the play of the ball. So when you've got a line speed running up, they might get 5 meters up, and so maximum you could earn out of the play if you were to walk it, probably about 5 meters, but to earn 160 metre, I think it's like a full length and halfway back that you've took in that game, the ball in hand, and it's hard to do, and it's hard to do.
What do you say? You send targets on? Do you say you've got a 9 metre carry and you want to do 170 metres? Do you work out? Do you say I probably need 15 carries here today?
I did do that, so I thought to myself, I take a carry every 2.5 minutes, or every 3 to 5 minutes I'll take a carry and get in there, and then that's about 2 carries every 10 minutes, and over 80 minutes on average that's 16 carries if you go looking for it. So if you go looking for ball, you're going to get 16 carries, but then you forget about when you get ball and good ball from your other players, you end up with about 20 carries, don't you? So,
and how do you, again, for younger players, is how do you get in when there's older players there and there's hooker and halfbacks, everybody wants the ball? How do you tell a young player to go? Because your best asset is that you manage to find us, and I've seen him make 70 metre walks to go and get a carry on a short side. That's mile. How do you do it? What are you doing to get it?
It's hard, isn't it? Because when you've got your meter maker already decided, when you look at him, like for example in that Saints squad, like that young Benison winger, how does he go in there when he's got Percival and Makinson there?
Yeah,
take those, you know what I mean, those carries. And I think it's just like all about, if you take that first carry and you just keep going and going, and then players around you think he's
let him take it.
Yeah, like they might not. They might.
Are you vocal though? Where you say no, how do you get it in? It's a lot of players ask me, and I criticise them. They say I couldn't get in, but how are you getting in and they're not?
You just get in. You scream for balls. Sometimes when they're there, you might just walk in front of them, so you're catching ball. And you know what I mean? As bad as
so it's competitive again.
Just to get that first carry. Right, and I remember like before game at York, and I remember saying to that to winger Kieran Dixon, I said, me and you, I want to compete for carries. And he said, I want to more or less said to one another, I'm going to try and see if we can get more than one another in carries. And we turned a bit of competitiveness on the edge. And so we were in just taking carries left, right, and centre. And we're both trying to get one more than one another. And I think we both took like 18, 19 or something like that.
And once your team know you can carry, the hooker and the half start using you even more,
exactly.
Don't they? Yeah, I've got it.
That's how it goes, and that's how you build. Like the first play, dummy off might show your way and pass over. But if you keep following him around like a flying shit,
of course. I get it.
He's gonna pass you eventually. And if you make your meters, then that's it.
I've had so many conversations with young players at academy who've not been taught to carry. And over the last 2 years, I say, mate, unless you learn to be able to either a late step or just a Tommy Makinson carry, or you won't play Super League. And they don't get taught it enough to go in and scoot early. Then they get put in first team. They make 60 metres, they put on the back. So again, explaining to a player, people who are watching, if your count that is a loss, don't you? What's a loss and what's a gain?
So, like I said there with carries, I think carries are like, when you watch a World Cup game, like that's where the best players in the world are playing at, and it looks, for a spectator, it's a bit boring, isn't it? Yeah. But once you know the rugby, what they're doing, and they're going back and forth, that's all it comes down to.
The arm wrestle, innit?
Exactly, and like you said, like about carries, you'd always tell me to get carries, and Steve Hampson, when I was at Wigan before that, he said, carries. I just think, what are you on about, carries? And then you said it, I thought, it must be something about these carries or something, so that's what I mean. And
I see that as a basis of your game, as in a player, no matter how he plays, if he gets 15 carries and his work rate's high, that's it. That's all you can ask. What comes after that is brilliant. But whatever coach can say is, he's worked his balls off. He's had a right go here.
Yeah, exactly. And I think we are lost. I think like it got to a point where at Leeds in 2021 season, some meters that were getting made, and it got to a point where they set like, if you got less than 130 metres, 140 metres, that weren't good enough. Like that's what extent. Like I think one point Tom Briscoe 170, Ash Hanley 190 consecutively. Like you play, you know what I mean, making that type of meters, and you think, right, it got to a point where me and Tinu said to one, if we get a game, we've got to make them do 40 metre, and it's creating that in-house competitiveness to get those meters. But what you said, I'd say a win is like, even if you might take it into a full set, like St. Helens, when they're coming against you, you might take it into a full set of them, but you might get a late retreat. I class that as a play the ball win, and you've took a carry, you might have got to C defending, you might have not got as many meters, but you've sacrificed your run, so then they can just flood round the edge and keep going at him. And sometimes your meters, you need to get your meters up, but then you need to be smart with it at the same time, because you can keep running at him and doing it and running at A defender, but all that D is doing is going back and forth. But if you've got him running at C, they're around the corner, that's how you tire your teams out. So sometimes you've got to sacrifice some meters, but if your work rate's that high, you'll keep getting your meters. You know what I mean? When the first carry you get to see a defender, they might dish you up, but for third or fifth time, you'll make 10 meters or something because you're that knackered. And it's all about being consistent, even though when it ain't going your way.
You're actually competitively again trying to get. Let's say you're running most of the time at your opposition centre or the back rower. That's a man on man again, isn't it? You get very much, let's go, let me get at him. And he's trying to get at you. That's what I say, people who watch it might not think there's much flamboyance in that, but actually that part of that game I love, like individual battles saying, can Corey out carry him today? Yeah, we think, you know, I find it fascinating that. And if you watch it, like I said, if you watch it, and we'll not use the words you got, but when you got your appraisal at Leeds, and the appraisal was, we'll not go into that, but it were like, don't think you've got enough of this, don't think you've got that, and then you said, yeah, but I think I have, because I see that as my X factor. I see that as what I'm great at. My carries is my strength, really. And when you told me that, and I was like, wow. First of all, it took a lot of guts for a young man to say that, but you were right. You were right that what if you watch Corey is it's not a flick pass. You've got that. You've got a pre-pass. You've got above the edge. You can defend. But your best thing is that you're honest enough to come and get them carries. Yeah. Which I believe in the modern game is X factor.
Like, for example, Percival, when you look back at him, he's like the guy this season, he's
unbelievable.
He's like in the centres, and when you watch him, he just bam, bam.
Tommy Mack and him,
they've got like no like,
handbrake or anything, have they?
No.
Do you know what? We asked a question the other day, and this is fascinating, and please, hopefully we get some things on this. Why does Tommy Makins to them not get injured as much? Is it because they're super fit? He runs the hardest, and yet he doesn't seem to get a lot of injuries, but he's running with no fear of his body. Would you say his fitness levels, Corey, or his absorbment of his body can do a lot more because it's used to it, or
honestly,
just lucky?
Sometimes you got to think. Sometimes if you get too lean, then you can become more injury prone. Like when you're too lean, you know what I mean. That's a factor. And you've got if he's running that hard all the time, and he's built a reputation now, and for like how hard he runs and Percival. So like teams go into that game knowing that I've got to defend against it. Some players have once said before, he just kept coming. He kept coming and he kept coming, and it did my head in. Like, it kept coming, and I couldn't give him as much as I wanted to. And I feel like when you get that and they're winning the mental battles, aren't they? When they're running that hard, I think it hurts the defender more than it hurts them. You know what I mean? Because they're running that hard and they don't care.
I've asked loads of young players and said, why can't you run that hard? And I'm saying to them, like, answer me so I can help you.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, I said, are you scared? They're like, no, I've never heard a rugby player tell me he was scared. I said, so is it because you're lazy? You might get a few like that. They look at you. I said, I think you've hit the nail. It's the third. It's the mental battle. It's Tommy Makins going to cut you fast and hard for 80 minutes.
Yeah.
Not one bit of anything's not coming at you because he's mentally strong.
Exactly. And that's what makes him so good, isn't it? Like, and then he can finish on top of that as well, and make the meters. And I feel like in like that Good Friday game, like how much Wigan was on them and how much absorption Saints had to do. The next minute, making some runs 60 metre on a line break, and then that's what the type of players you need, don't you? Because
Wigan threw everything at them that first 20, everything. Smithies grabbed Morgan Knowles and Morgan, and then Brad Singo.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm thinking it's on here, and then when they scored, I'm like, wow.
It all went.
And then Saints just turned up with a notch. You were like, they could turn up the gas, and they went to a level which Wigan couldn't go to.
Well, they did it against Catalan as well, didn't they?
Unbelievable.
What was it, 16 minutes, and they scored 4 tries?
Yeah.
And that was the game. And that's what I feel like against those type of players. That's why they're so good, because you can't take your eye off them, and when you do, they hurt.
It makes sense.
And
on to, obviously we can think about, we talked about opportunity, didn't we? And we felt that Leeds had already got, I think Briscoe got another couple of years. I don't know if he did at time. I know that Harry were there. Sutty had got the centre spot.
Yeah.
Harry's only 21, I think, at the time, 20.
Yeah, he was 20. Yeah, I think he's 22 now.
And then they talked about Jack Broadbent. Then the young Max Simpson's going to be a quality
and
player.
Levi as well.
Then there's Levi. So it was all this coming in, and we were like, oh, here we go. and I want to get this across. People think, oh God, Corey's ruled 2 clubs, and he obviously is not a trouble causer. There's not a nicer lad in the world than Corey. So it was just us going into Leeds and saying, look, there's not a lot of opportunity for me here. I think I can get more opportunity there. And Leeds, to be fair, again, like Wigan, were good enough, Corey, not to put a fee on you, weren't they? They were like, could have held out here, but I felt that
exactly.
Kevin and Richard, well, they were fair with, weren't they?
Yeah, they're good people. That's what I mean. Like at Leeds, they're good people. Like if you need help, they're there. And like even now, you could text them that even though I'm not there, and they still help you. They're genuinely just a team full of like a
great lads.
Yeah, an organisation full of good people, and like I reckon that's why they've got such young. Like when you look at Mikelai's and Cam Smith's age, that's why they've got so many players still from then. When you've got the Sutty and Ash, they're still there. When you've got like us young, like Morgan Gannon there now.
Yeah.
Jared O'Connor, all them, Corey Johnson, Muzzy, you know what I mean? They're all there. They're all staying. They're all staying through it. But I reckon, like you said, like they're just full of good people. And that opportunity wise, it were an hard one, weren't it? Because at one point they were a back rower playing left centre, and
unbelievable,
and a back row from another back rower playing right centre. And I was looking, like you look up and sometimes you just think it's not that you're scared of a battle of fighting for your spot. Because by all means I'll do it, but is it? Am I actually going to get that chance? You know what I mean? And that's what I felt like. That's what we're thinking. Am I actually going to get given a chance?
Yeah, well, when we talked to Leeds about it gave us permission to talk to Wakefield, and this is the third tier so far. This start, Wakefield. What timing for them to get you? You started off at Wakey. You're still a young man. Yeah. You got in. I thought you'd play a lot of first team early. I'm dreaming about that for you. Thinking, come on, Corey, do it. And then, wow. And again, I said this a lot. Luke Gale against Danny Maguire. Danny Maguire had a road to stardom by being at Leeds, at GB England, and stayed there. Luke Gale went on A62, A64. He went to 5 clubs to achieve his dreams, and still got dreams. Yours is another one. For every Mikelai Aletsky, who stays there, Morgan Smithies, that club, blah, blah. You've gone Bump, Wakefield, you've gone Wigan, you've gone Leeds.
Yeah.
You're still only a baby, you're 19 still?
Yeah, 19.
19, and you're now at Wakefield. How many games you got?
I've played 10 so far this season.
Unbelievable. We've just talked off camera about how much...
Like who said, like we were talking about how to defend John Bateman.
Yeah, it's just unbelievable. It's just, but you are, and I just love the opportunity Wakefield are giving you. It's a freshness. Tell us a little bit about Wakey and why.
Yeah, well, I remember coming to basketball court.
Yeah,
said, "Oh, I've got you a deal." Like, you know what I mean? And I remember being buzzing and screaming that thing, and then
you are,
and then I've gone in at pre-season, and he said, "Oh, Willie wants to meet you next day, so." Thursday night, come up basketball, Mary's got all food, and all lads around loving it. They sign a pat on back from you and that to me. And next minute, say, "Oh, get ready because you might be in tomorrow morning." So we've done what did we do? About 6K.
Yeah, we did
6K session.
Crazy, wasn't it?
So 6K on basketball court. And then
that's got 40 points.
Dunks on, was it? And I get a phone call from Willie the next morning. And it's like, "Hiya, mate. I've jumped out of bed. It's 8:30 in the morning. I thought I'll go across at about 11 or something when they want me." I've jumped out of bed and I think it was about 8:30. I jumped out of bed and I've answered it and he said, "Hiya, mate, you alright?" And I said, yeah, you. And I know sketch anyway. He said, "Oh, I want you to come across and meet the lads." And I went, like, just me and myself. I said, "Shall I bring my boots just in case?" And he went, yeah, you might need them. Yeah, bring them. So I've gone in Nike matching outfit and that, thinking, "Oh, I'm going to meet lads and that." So I've turned up, they're all in what bike, dying, Big Boppers on what bike, he's absolutely...
Yeah.
I'm trying to say hello to him, but he can't breathe, and this and that. And gone in, he said, "Oh," I said, "Oh, I thought I'd be going around like my older scarf or some other t-shirt like that, shaking hands, taking photos." He says, "Oh yeah, you're going in wrestle room."
I can't be
so straight away in wrestle room, and I love it there, to be fair. It's really good, and it's just like, I knew what I was expecting as well when I went back, and it's got, to be fair, it's better, and gone back and I'm in wrestle room going at it, and I was more conscious about ripping my night top but finished that day and I thought it was a tough wrestle session, that grappling circuit for about 45 minutes going at it. Mark Applegarth, he loves it. He has a saying, "Kill or be killed," and that's all he'll ever say to you, no matter what. And so it's there, and we've finished training, we've had food afterwards, and come up and all lads at our work scholarship, we saying, "Oh, you're alright," this and another, and got chatting away. And off season, and then in pre-season, I went, you know what, I want this now. I want it. So I've gone training every day, trying to work hard, and I got a gym membership. Started going at gym like 3 times a week on top of what I did then. And I remember, well, John Kelly, who's S&C's, calling me an idiot because I'm going there and I'm training hard in the morning, doing like my 3 RMs on bench or squatting, and when I'm going later to JD gyms and I'm doing bench press and shoulder press and explosive work, trying to get bigger. So, because like last season at Leeds, I was about 88 kilo, 89, and I'm weighing like just short of 94 now. So, just trying to put size on. And that off season, well, in pre-season, I was just bashing them. Like you said, when you said you're gonna have to do more work than anyone, you're gonna have to do what you've got to do, and that your advice to me. And I just thought, you know what, he's right. So, doing boxing sessions in the morning and then doing boxing sessions on a Saturday morning when I ain't got training, and 3 gym sessions a week, extra on top of what I was doing.
Corey, every time I get asked, they say, what makes a player? I say, mate, what you do away from that club is what's going to make you the player.
Exactly, and that's what you said. And got to pre-season and I'm doing well, and all of a sudden they start naming teams that we're going to be training in, and it's like the kind of like the first team squad when you know when the first team squads are training and the other ones get bibs on, don't they? So they naming that, and I thought, hey, so eyebrows going up and I'm thinking, oh, got a shot here. But I remember like thinking when I went into gym first day, I saw Bill Tupou, and when you see Saturday, you've got Jack Croft, you've got Riesling, you've got Minzy who's there, and then there was a player called John, but I didn't. He were a winger, but I thought he was centre. But I'm looking at these and I'm thinking, right, they're all. If you look at like the frames, they're all big people. So I think I need to get bigger. So that's what I did, and that was like my driving force. I wanted like every day. I just wanted to be better. I just wanted to like be competitive, and in a way, it could be annoying for them because I'm always trying to like be better. But it's like that's what I was trying to do to be like become a better player. And like you've got an England centre and you in like Reece, and you've got Bill who killed it before his injury.
Yeah.
I remember watching him on TV. So like now I'm trying to compete with him. You know what I mean? That's what it was. When it got to pre-season friendlies, I started playing well, and I thought doing all right. It got to Boxing Day. Me and Murph on wing. Yeah. We did well. We did well against the right edge. Like what did they have? Bentley, Newman.
Yeah. Fabulous.
That was their thing, and we did well against them. And me and Murph, you want to arrive. Even though we got beat, we said doing well there. Like, we were saying, yeah, no. And we took some confidence from that, and me and him like we're good together. You know what I mean? And then,
well, he's a hell of a talent, Lewis, isn't he?
Exactly. Like
he's got them
off a break.
Yeah,
he's gone, and then we got to like the pre-season games, and then the Fev, Halifax we played, and I was playing them, and I played all 3 of them, and I felt good. I felt like I've got a shot here. Got to the first game and against Hull FC and got picked. I remember being nervous, thinking, right, this is my second full start. My last game, Super League game, were against Cass, and I went from that to I played them, and I set a try up, I scored a try, and I got man at match. You know what I mean? So I thought I've come from 2 games there. My last Super League game, my last ever one for Leeds, and this one I've done that now. So I just went in there, wanted to be good. And to be fair, Tom Johnson, I'll speak to him a hell of a lot, and cause he's played with like Bill, and he knows how good centres can be. So he'll always tell me what I should be doing, and he's a freak of nature himself. So when I'm speaking to him, and he's telling me things, and I'm learning on job, saying like what he wants from me, and I'll say, what do you want from me, and he'll say, I want you to do this next time, and it's good. And I've got Milky side of me who's good, and he's played with the best as well, and Matt Yasser as well, who was a tough player. So that left edge when we're playing, and I get confidence from it, and that's what I started building, and we started playing more games, and he got to St Helens, played full game, and 79th minute, it's like a 4v2 with them, and I've just gone in to get tackle Walmsley. That's all I remember. Knocked me out. But I finished game somehow, and I remember in changing the showers. I've gone up to all fans apparently clapping everyone and not knowing what I'm doing, and gone up to took photos. My mum not had a clue. Asked if they wanted a photo, even though I've took 4 photos. Got in change rooms, got in shower, walked out. Got put button on, showers on, walked out. Like all conked out, fully conked out, but no one knew. And I got concussion, but that's what kept me out for a game.
That's the game you missed, innit?
Yeah, and then from then I've managed to play every game and loving it. Absolutely loving it. Like each week I feel like I'm getting better, and coaching stuff as well. Like you forget to like mention like what they do for you. Like so, like Will is like he's there for anyone. No matter what career you have, no matter what experience you've got, he's always there for you.
Yeah.
And even if you could play the best you've ever played, and he'll speak to you like the same way he'd speak if you played worse you've ever
Yeah,
played.
yeah, yeah.
There's no like thing, and that's what I like anyway, because I just speak to him normal about the game.
Yeah.
But when Francis Cummins, like hell of a player in his time as well, and I'll speak to him, and I'll go through my individuals with him, like probably after every game. Mark Applegarth, he's got a lot of time, and he's got a lot of time for me as well.
Right.
I'll look through
Look
through all of it with him as well. And then even analysts like so Marco, we've got who does all the sport analysts. I'll go up to him and say, "Can I have my stats for this game?" And he'll get it up in a second, or if in the game, or they change the centre. Can I have a few clips on him? He'll do it straight away. You know what I mean? Everyone's there, just helping you, and that's what I feel like. That's what we started.
Getting the best out of you, innit?
Exactly, and that's what I feel like it's helped me the most.
I don't think you can coach anybody unless you know them, and I hate some coaches who don't seem to get to know them. So it's, to me, that's a business, and I don't know how you can help somebody unless you know what's inside you. If I know you're insecure, if I know that you're a bit arrogant, whatever, I have my way of chipping out of that, and you learn together.
Yeah,
I think every coach, I think that's what one of Willie's strengths is. I think he cares about you. Just said care about you. Probably need that to be able to coach.
Yeah, exactly, and is there? That's what I mean. Is there for everyone, and that's why everyone loves him so much at the club, and thinks he's such a good player, like bloke as well as a coach, and he's technical as well, and he knows what he wants the team to do, and like we started off the season like we came 4 points short, like a try short at Hull, and we're going toe to toe for Catalans in grand final, and then we're going St Helens, Joe in at half time. I think he
played some amazing stuff.
So we just need to get back to it a minute. Like we got ourselves in a bit of a rut, but it's how long you stay in it. And
I spoke to Michael actually, who by the way, you know, had a lot to do with you coming back. He said to me, I missed him at 60. We're not going to miss him again. When he went back to Leeds, he should have come here. And, you know, we had a bit of banter about it. But he said something amazing to me. He said the fans seem to be backing us because they see that we're effort level's great and we're trying to put the young ones and give them a game. And I'm hoping there's a fine line in between the fans believing in that and then 10 results bad. And then it's like, no, you know, and I hope you get the chance to develop the club better than what, you know, like you are doing now. I think that's the way forward for me with Wake, is to develop youths. And his hardest job would be, how do you keep a group of young players at the club for a long period of time if you're improving that much that every other club start to look for you? So Wakefield probably historically done well to keep Tom Johnson, because
exactly like
it's been amazing. Because
they have Gazelles as well.
They lost Gaz to Leeds very early. That's
and
it's been tough for them. So, you know, for me, for Wakefield to have a future, they've got to keep the likes of you and Lewis and young Crofty and your mate Harry, and these young men, and they need to say, listen, this is what we're going to build everything round.
Exactly, and that, like when I said, before Wakefield and last year at Leeds, I said like the lads that got Leeds, and you need to keep them as well, and they could keep everyone, and that's the best thing. But in a realistic world, keeping everyone's not realistic at all, and everyone's going to want different. What is about 8?
Well, and some clubs, Corey, have to bring in international overseas play. You know, they have to bring in to keep the crowd and the things that. Exactly. For me, the future is in, you know, in that. You know, I can remember that Edge this weekend. We're on about last week, you and Lewis against Bateman and Zach. And I'm like, how good's this? 2 19-year-old lads going toe to toe against 2 of the best players, reporting country, if not the world. You know. And you held your own, and I'm thinking, God, they've done that at 19. What's going to happen if them lads stay together? And 21, 22, it's all over. You know, that battle's, you can reverse that battle and go, come on. And I think that's the challenging thing for a lot of the smaller clubs, is they're giving you the opportunity to show your skills and improve as a man, improve as a player.
Exactly that.
But then they've got to find a way of keeping you. If you do it, you know, you might not say that, but I think the way it happens is, for Wakey, it's got to be a platform of saying to the overseas 31-year-old, you've been great for a club, but we're not going to renew that deal. We're going to put all our money in, everything we've got is going to go into these young men. And
that's right. You're right what you say. Like the Wakefield, like those young lads at Wakefield now, we've got, like, that's the next crop. Like everyone keeps saying it's like a bit of a transition, like
100%.
Like the transition in, like we've got young forwards, we've got young backs, and you know what I mean. When you look at team, there's older forwards and older backs. I reckon that's the main thing, and keeping the young lads. That's the main thing, and if you can do that, it's perfect. You know what I mean? Like they've given, like, for example, they give me a chance that I never thought I'd get the next 3-4 years,
100%.
about 3 years. So you obviously want to repay them back, don't you?
Yeah.
And they've got to be like proper enough to do it in the
brave
same
enough not to
yeah.
come and sign the 31-year-old and brave enough to do that. Just finishing on, we're gonna have to. I'm gonna ask you some quick fire questions now, Corks. We can chill out a bit. Sam, our producer's giving us the look as if to say, "Hurry up, lads!" So I'm gonna ask you about 10, 20 questions, but we're gonna do it quick, okay? So,
he's sitting over, up.
No, because it's off the cuff thing, so this is gonna be pretty tough. Quickly, like favourite thing to do away from rugby?
Food.
Favourite food? Where's what sort?
Anyway, I love my burgers, mate. To be honest, I love a cheat day. It's a bit too much.
You just talked about training for
yeah,
about
I know, but you got to treat yourself one day a week, haven't you? But away from food, yeah, or spend time with family and that. Or miss it, so go away somewhere.
Yeah, social media.
Yeah,
Insta, are you Twitter? Are you? Oh, we know the answer, don't we? Go on then.
Yeah, I'm up to date on my social media and that. In lockdown, TikTok might have got a bit best of me and that, but past that. But yeah, I'm up to date with all.
I'm up to date. Sport, if you want a rugby player.
Football or boxing?
I think boxing, Corey. You've got that cool bit of. You've got a bit of this. I've seen it when you watched one of the greatest fights in history. Joe Harrison fight at Leeds. He fought an heavyweight.
I've never seen him move a head like that at all. Like Prince Nazim, weren't it? Arrogant Prince Nazim.
Joe put it all in, did he? And then he threw the Donny Haymaker it last round, and he hit the referee. He missed him, but he were. I could see you boxing because you've got that athleticism, you've got that confidence.
Yeah, well, that's one thing I'd always do. Like boxing, like I try to get me in there, but rugby just took over.
Do you know it's weirdly because Sonny Bill and Gallen they're going to fight for a lot of money, and I'm watching it thinking, I wonder how many players. I didn't know this. 2 of the UFC top 5 fighters, the big heavyweight who drinks the shoey. He's an ex-Sydney Roosters prop. Can't believe the big star, Troy Vassar. He's ex-Sydney Roosters prop forward. It's unbelievable. And then the featherweight champion of the world, Volkanov, is played semi-professional or professional rugby. So it's actually coming on the boundaries.
And then NFL, have you seen how many NRL players go to NFL? I think there's about 4 or 5 players that make like the what do you call it, the draft squad or whatever you make.
Yeah.
Few that go over there doing that. What about when Jared Hayne went over to 49ers and
there quite a few in there?
Yeah, teams like that. That's what you see popular. Isn't it?
Fashion sense. What's your look?
Tracksuit every day of the week. Tracksuit, t-shirt, shorts.
There's rumours though, Cor, that you've been approached by their own male modelling. Have you?
Well, yeah, I've got a shoe next Tuesday, but nah. Did a bit of modelling, yeah. So I done a bit of that as well on side.
Yeah, we've heard, Cor, that there's rumours. There's not a career in rugby. You might end up with what if you with the sport? What about car? If you get your dream contract, Corey, what we're driving?
Could anyone have said this? But Lamborghini Urus, wouldn't it? If ain't one of those, it's an SVR.
What's an SVR?
Range Rover SVR. Have you not seen
I've got you. Yeah, I think I've had one.
Here he is.
I do get you.
Something like our
what colour we got?
It's Lamborghini. It's got to be yellow, I think, or like a nice dark grey. SVR, it's black tar with red disc brakes on it and that.
Ambition in rugby?
Just to go as far as I can and just take every year as it comes. Like, because I feel like when you set your goal that high, hope, but you got hope then, haven't you? And hope sometimes can go other way when you've got like that much hope going off. So take every year as it comes, and everything that comes as a bonus. You know what I mean? That's what I did this year.
Biggest influence in career? Can't put me, by the way.
Joe. I'm gonna say Joe, mate, but I'd say family, like me, mum, granddad, grandma, missus, and uncle and family there, yeah.
And to finish off, if we see you, you've had 3 clubs in 2. No. If we see you in 10, 15 years, we watch this. Where you'll be happy. You've just said there you'll be happy when you're taking every day as it comes. But what will make you happy if you can walk away, Corey? Do you want to play for your country? Would you like to go to NRL? Would you like to win a grand final? Would you like to win a Man of Steel? Would you like to win a Challenge Cup?
Well, everyone wants to win a trophy, don't they? So I'd love to win a trophy, like whether it's grand final, Challenge Cup. You'd want to win grand final, but I reckon what happened to World Club Challenge, like wanting to win that, you know what I mean? Like that's best team in the world, then, isn't it?
Yeah,
best
of
team
course.
in the world. Obviously, everyone would want to say win a World Cup, wouldn't you?
What about the NRL?
NRL, yeah, well that's like the ambition. Like if you want like to go over there, and I reckon, yeah, it comes with age, that doesn't it?
Yeah,
Like
and tick off the boxes all along the. Because I actually did this where we asked a lot of young players, and we noticed 3 or 4 years ago the NRL got mentioned every time, and we were like, "Wow, it never used to be." But now a lot of youngs, because of the social media, see, wow, you know,
see old beaches.
Obviously, we beat the Aussies in the 18s. That you missed that by a year, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. Yeah,
you was the year above that one.
Yeah, year after.
Right, yeah. Right, we're all good, Corey. And you've been a star, son.
Now to basketball.
Now to the basketball. The challenge is on.